Right. Well, we have 15, so welcome everyone. I'm so happy to see you here. And let's start. Let me put this up so I can see. Let's start with our new members, welcoming new members. Chris from Utah, Gretchen from Utah, Federico from Montana, Whitney from Wyoming, and Catherine from Utah. And let's continue by celebrating. Let's see here. Catherine. Where'd we go? There we go. Catherine. She received her ACC accreditation from ICF last month. Congratulations, Catherine. And let's celebrate Trigina. She's our chapter secretary, and she received this month her ACSTH designation from the ICF for her coach training program, Peak Performance Coaching Academy. She is also offering a 10% discount for those High Country members that would like to start a coach training program. And I believe it starts in the fall. So congratulations to both of you. We had elections last month, and we have a new board of directors for the coming year. Congratulations to the new board coming in. I'm confident you will give this new leadership the exceptional support that you have given us this last year. I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve as your president during the last 12 months. Our theme for the last year was collaborate and community. Your board took that seriously and ran a marathon with it. And I just want to appreciate and recognize a few of the successes that we had during the last year. The board accomplished so much, but we don't have enough time to go into all of the behind the scenes work that they did, which was data processing, phone calls, special projects, strategic planning, and so much more of the little things that have to be done behind the scenes. So with appreciation, I want to start with our co-members, Annie and Paul. They created ongoing wine and cheese socials and ongoing new member orientations. They listened to you, and they created the most recent resource panel for ICF credentialing and certification. And they also coordinated the coach to coach mastermind groups. That's not all they did, but those are a few of the successes that are major. Trigina, our chapter secretary, kept a detailed record of board actions, and then she tracked them for us for follow-through, keeping us all accountable. Along with preparing the minutes from agenda items, she worked on needed projects and executed the most recent election process. Valerie stepped into the treasurer's role just last year, and her expertise in accounting and strategic forward thinking for investing in the future continues to keep us in the black. With precision, she has been taking care of ICF's multiple requested detail reports, and there are a few of them. During her term, Deborah, our past president, moved High Country to the next stage and laid the foundation for our current board of directors to continue to scale up operations. Todd, as marketing and communications, spearheaded social media platforms and website branding, along with setting up creative templates for all communication outlets. He chairs a new grant that we received from ICF for increased social media visibility. And as you know, ICF rebranded, so he had to also do a lot of rebranding. And I'm so happy to welcome him because he is in his newest role is going to be your incoming president. Program content and speakers continue to be high-end and relevant with an exceeding level of execution by Stacy. We have had brilliant speakers, and her management of chapter arrangements has been exceptional. And she also manages our ongoing book clubs, which were new this year. Stephanie kept our website management in tip-top shape, and she consistently worked with integral technical intricacies that boggled my mind. So thank you, Stephanie. Her expertise in setting up methods for streamlining documents and team collaborating systems kept me, I don't know about anybody else, from tearing their hair out, although I do feel like I got a little bald spot back here. And as chair of the coaching week, her lineup of speakers is beyond excellent. The board consistently collaborated with each other, and I'm so grateful for all the hard work they selflessly gave to our chapter membership. They deserve a round of applause.
And for Vicki
Stephanie?
too.
Stephanie, would you like to talk about next week?
Yes, absolutely. So next week is finally ICF Coaching Week. I've put the link into the chat if you want to check out our website. We will be running webinars on every day, Monday through Thursday, from 12 p.m. Mountain Time to 1 p.m. Mountain Time. On Monday, we have the Enhancing Your Personal Well-Being as a Coach topic. Presenters include Valerie Davis, Jenny Heike, and Todd Hess. On Tuesday, we'll be covering Coaching Leadership Self-Awareness with presenters Jan Bush and Anjali Pai. On Wednesday, we will be having the Recalculating Career Opportunities for Clients. Lisa Hecht, Jennifer Kumar, and myself will be presenting. And then on Thursday, Raising Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Awareness. Presenters will include Laura Alvarez-Schrag, Linda Secretan, and April Townsend. We are registering via Zoom this week for Coaching Week, so it's not the same as our typical programs. If you go to the website in the chat, you'll be able to register for each event that you would prefer to come. So come check it out. It's going to be amazing.
Thank you, Stephanie. Our upcoming events, I'm not going to read them to you because you can read them faster than I can speak them. I don't even know if that's grammatically correct. Anyhow, all of these are definitely on the website, so please peruse our next events. And we still have our ongoing Good Habits book club and our new one. They're both all on the website to take a look at them. These are for members only. And our earning CCEUs, remember that they haven't changed. Attend the event, start to finish, complete the survey. And if you're a member, they are free with a completed feedback survey. And if you're a non-member or guest, it is $20 for a CCEU with a completed feedback survey. And with that, I would like to introduce our speaker today, Krista Martin. She's the president and founder of Make Your Mark and the Six-Figure Impact Academy, which focuses on helping clients build six-figure businesses. With more than 12 years in the corporate world, with extensive business, marketing, and sales experience, Krista brings her vast knowledge to being a sought-after speaker, and as a business coach, she teaches other coaches how to attract clients, make more money, and create a bigger impact. And if that's not enough, she is a Circle of Excellence winner, recognized for being in the top 6% in the country by exceeding her sales quotas 7+ years in a row. Please welcome Krista Martin.
Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here and very excited to dive in with this group today. The content we're going to dive into is very fun, very actionable, and my goal is that it's going to feel like we're injecting money into your bank account and injecting clients onto your client roster. Only the dream clients and the ones that are really excited to do the work and that you're excited to work with. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to push a magic button in a second and it'll do a screen share. I always think that all the buttons on Zoom are magic. It's the little things that make it exciting. But I know that in the chat, it was shared too, that we do have an action guide for today that just will make taking the notes a little bit easier. If you don't have it, no problem. You can still absolutely take notes too. But just wanted to call your attention to that. Thank you for sharing that too, that if that's something you're able to grab and print, or maybe you already have it handy. So I'm going to push this. Thank you again, Stacy, for sharing that. And so today, as Stacy shared, we're going to cover and really dive into the six-figure coach. And I call it what we're going to look at is the fast path to more clients, profit, and impact. And I'll share with you a little bit more too as we dive in today about what I call the six-figure impact, because I believe building our business is great to a certain level, but then to go to that next level of getting past, helping make sure ends are met on our personal end, to go to that next level, it's where we're impacting the community or impacting the world in some way. And that's the very short version of what I call the six-figure impact. And so that's really one of the reasons I take a stand for helping coaches build that kind of business, because I really believe that one, we're super awesome people, and two, that through the collective power of coaches, we literally can change the world. And I get goosebumps every time I say that, but just to create that idea that more income creates more impact and allows for more impact. And so let's see what what we did talk about, or I mentioned a second ago, and Stacy shared the action guide, and there's a little picture of it. But if you don't have it, you can also either click on the link that Stacy shared in the chat, or if you go to makeyourmark.com/six-figure coach, it'll pull it up as well. And again, if you have that, fantastic. If not, that's okay. We'll be able to get you everything you need to have all the notes you need to really create more income and impact in your business. And so I invite you, and I do this anytime I'm working with clients, anytime we're doing a talk or presentation of any time, to really give yourself permission to be where we are. And by that, I mean, it's very easy to multitask in today's world where we have 14 browsers open. I have multiple monitors in front of me, but, to flip your phone over, take a few deep breaths, and really give yourself permission to be here. Because when you do that, you're honoring your business, you're honoring your clients, and you can always ask yourself that question of how. And what I mean by that is, how can I apply this information in a new way? How can I implement in a new direction? How can I implement 20% greater? But just really that how question is where we find the answers that we're looking for. And so I have a couple of different examples there of how our ego can sneak in and say, I already know this, I don't need to listen, or I'm just going to do it myself, I don't need to have this guidance. But what I'm excited to share with you today absolutely has the potential to change the trajectory of your business. And one of my very first mentors reminded me, to know and not do is to not yet know. And I wanted to kick her in a very nice way, the most loving kick you can do, because I was so busy learning that I didn't do the actual implementation of that. I learned about networking, for example, but I wasn't actually doing the networking, or I learned how to be a great speaker. So I share this, not that I want you to want to kick me like I wanted to kick her, but just in case it's a message that resonates with you. As coaches, I know we tend to be great learners, and we just are prolific in our learning and certifications. And just to ask yourself, am I really implementing this, or am I busy learning it? Because it's easy to get stuck with the learning piece of it. And so what if I told you that the more money that flows through your business, the bigger impact that you can create? What if I told you that the business that you dream about, whether it's freedom and time with family, or no comments about the Falcons because they're not a winning football team. I know you can see that on here. So I'm open to comments and feedback, just not on the Falcons. But, that the more successful you are, the more you get to actually be your true, authentic self. And what if I told you it's possible to have a thriving multiple six-figure or even more coaching business and get your kids at the bus stop, or have the freedom to choose to end your day at 2:30 or 3 if that's what you want to do? And this is really that, that belief that we have, that what if I shared with you that literally the number that's in your head, as far as when I say, what's your dream business? And that number that pops in your head is really the path that's leading us to have your greatest breakthroughs and to become the best version of yourself in building your coaching business. You don't have that number there for any reason other than I believe it's your path to create that breakthrough for you. And what if, this is my all-time favorite one, what if I told you that your growth doesn't have to be incremental? We can totally ditch the slow path. We can throw that out the window. Is that something that you'd be interested in? Just let me know with either a hand raise or a comment that, if this would be of interest to you. I know, especially when I was first starting my business, I was a member of the Impatient Club. I was like, I want to get there faster and, as few bumps along the way. And so this is exactly what I'm going to share with you in our time together, is what I wish I learned earlier in my journey so that I could have created even faster results. And so one of my core beliefs is that your growth doesn't have to be incremental. And this is the important caveat, unless you say it does. So this is my request to you, is don't say it has to be incremental. Don't say it has to be slow, because as you know, we can create exactly what we think about. And so the good news is we are going to, regardless of, anything you've learned before, what you've tried, what worked or what didn't work, that's okay. We're leaving that. That's so last year. We're going to focus on what will allow you to create that exponential growth in your business. So specifically, we'll talk about the 5 elements so allow you to create rapid results. We're going to talk about the exact roadmap that will lead you to more income, impact, and freedom, which are 3 of the core reasons I started my business. And I'm guessing a lot of you were called into the space for the same reasons. We're also going to talk about how shifting this invisible yet extremely powerful element will allow you to build a thriving coaching practice even faster than you thought possible. And why getting bold about your vision changes everything. I love this picture of this little boy here. He's very inspiring to me, and he's gonna fly. We're going, and then of course lots of other good stuff. So you're gonna be like this lady here, just it's so excited. So, I know you heard an introduction of me before, just kind of I have my MBA in marketing. I've been running my own coaching business for almost 9 years now, which is crazy to believe how fast time goes, almost a decade. And what I want you really to know, the most important thing is that when I was first building my business, I felt like, I came home with my coach certification in hand and I said, I'm open for business. And it was just me and the crickets. And so I yelled even louder. And actually, I think I have a slide for that. And by the way, I tried to look up Google images of crickets. You're so glad that I did an animated picture, versus those things are so ugly if you look up real images of them. And then I thought, okay, so obviously the only reason people aren't approaching me is because they didn't hear me. So I yelled even louder, I'm open for business. And it was still just the crickets. So I went back to a job I didn't love. And I learned then, within a few years of doing all the wrong things, that I got my business to about $40,000 in income while working full time. And then I was let go from my job, and I waved at them with one finger, and it wasn't this finger because I got 1 week severance. So you can guess what I thought there, but it was my chance to go all in on myself. And so that year we went from $40,000 in income to over 220,000, and we're on track to be a $2 million business this year. And I'm sharing that not to brag, but to make your brain wiggle. I like to, that's one of the job descriptions I give myself, is to help you see proof that your growth doesn't have to be slow, and to make your brain wiggle and say, it could be faster, it could be easier. And exactly what I'm talking about today are the exact components you'll need to scale your coaching business to grow to whatever number that popped in your head when I said, what's your dream business look like? And that a lot of what we'll talk about too is really creating that coaching program that you can use, rinse and repeat, serve your clients, help them get great results, and create huge momentum. And so, and I'll go through this real quick. I think, we've essentially there, I was talking about the reasons I started my coaching business, which I'm guessing are very aligned with you. I wanted the freedom of time, of choices. I wanted to choose the amount of income I could bring in my business, and I wanted to choose the impact I could make. And if you don't mind to type in the chat, what really called you to coaching? Was it that you wanted to be your own boss? Was it that you wanted to work with, a certain group of people? Was it a message or an impact you were called to create? It could be a million different things, and there's no wrong answer. But knowing that the reason that called you into it is exactly what will create the path for in today's presentation. And so I see, oh, impact is a huge one. John, yay, that's one of my absolute favorite words. To give back what others have given to me. Nice to share my message, love, all the above, especially helping others. To help people and find fulfilling work, provide the stuff that I wish I had earlier in my life career. Yes, so many times our ideal client is a younger version of us, where we've gone through a thing and we want to be able to help and coach them so they can move through that faster. Enhance people's ability to reach their potential. Oh, another one of my favorite words, potential. So not that the other answers weren't great. Those are just two of my my favorite focuses. So what I am going to share with you today is, as you can tell, I tend to speak fast because I've got a lot of good stuff I want to give you. And also to know at the end, I'll give you a way that we can go deeper and continue the conversation should you be inspired to do so. You're going to have so much great content from today, though, that you don't need to, but if you want to, I like to let people know I won't leave them hanging. And so the good news is I want you to know you don't have to do this alone. You aren't supposed to be able to figure it all out yourself. It doesn't have to feel overwhelming. And in fact, it can be incredibly fun. And these are, I'll share with you just Shayna here on the left. She, when we first met and before she joined the Six Figure Impact Academy, she was living completely off savings. And in less than a year, she got to a point where she was living completely off her business income and grew a six-figure business. And she would be someone who wholeheartedly says, I don't like sales, I don't like business, but I love coaching. And so I share that because I know a lot of times people say, okay, I don't really want to, do the sales or do the business piece, but regardless of where you're coming from, we can create amazing results. And so what we're going to talk about today, these are the 5 pillars that we'll talk about. So if you want to jot these down, I will go through them one by one. So don't feel like you have to scribble it really fast. But this is really what I figured out to be the core of creating rapid growth in your coaching business. I wish I knew this sooner. So like we had some of the comments, I'm teaching now what I wish someone met me with when I was really ramping up to my first 6 figures in income, because I could have gone faster. And so when we look at the first one, impact, I shared that's something that I'm very passionate about, and I help my clients get clear on what their 6-figure impact is. But it's essentially clearly defining what a successful business allows you to create. So I want you to really think about that, if we make it about ourselves and it's, oh, Krista wants to make $250,000 so she can, roll around in the dollar bills in her living room and kiss it. That's not really why we make the money. We make it because of what a successful business allows us to create or to give, or the difference to make. Maybe it's building a school. For me, it's helping homeless animals. And, it started out, I always talk about, we have 3 tiers of impact. The first one is our like making sure we're whole at home, our bills are paid, everybody's healthy, and, we're not worried about keeping the lights on. The next tier that we reach out to many times is impacting the community, which is what I'm doing now. And then sometimes, not always, people are called to go global. And when you reach that tier of impact through your business, that means you're impacting people that there's no physical way that you could actually meet all the people that you're impacting, which is really a cool thing to think about. But I found that they happen in that sequence. So if you know that, hey, I'm not quite sure what my bigger impact is, it may be that we're focusing on your internal impact level first. Let's get you to whatever that means to make you feel whole. And then we can look at expanding beyond that. And so this really is that energy of when you're called forth by more than money. You're inspired by the impact that you can create, and you're stretched because it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about way bigger than us. This is that idea that our business is way bigger than us. It's not about Krista Martin, it's about the business and the impact that's created through that. When you don't have this bigger vision, it can feel like, well, why do I want to make more money? More money makes me greedy. Could be a story that comes in. You'll feel like this poor lady on the screen here, where it's this push energy. I once had a client that said, I feel like I'm always pushing the ball or the boulder up the hill. I'm always pushing it. And let me know, just raise your hand if that you recognize yourself as having ever felt like, okay, I just gotta, be here and just keep pushing. And it's that outward energy that feels really heavy, and it doesn't feel light and expansive and exciting. And so while we don't have the time to go super deep on this, I want you to write these questions down and to think for a second about what your answers to these questions would be. They're great to journal on. I've found many times we don't know what our six-figure impact is right at first. And so we just keep moving and it becomes more clear over time. So the first question could be confusing, but it's what can you not be with? So what I mean by this is I'm really passionate about making sure animals aren't, needlessly surrendered into homeless animal shelters or abused or euthanized unnecessarily. So I can't be with that. So I look at 180 degrees opposite that to find what really would be motivating to me. So if there's something that really triggers you, that really gets you, keeps you up at night, what is that? And then let's look at the exact opposite of that. It should scare you a little bit too, or a lot bit, meaning that it should be so big that you think, what in the heck? How could I ever do that? That's okay. It's all figure outable, as Marie Forleo says, but knowing that it should be bigger than you and big enough that you're like, I don't know how I would save 100,000 homeless animals a year if that's what you're called to do. But you say, but that's what's coming up for me is really being important. And the magic one that I find gives the most clues is I want you to imagine that I had a way to give you $1 billion. So this is already an exciting webinar, but I had a way that I could zap you $1 billion through the Zoom, and your family was taken care of. All your loved ones are taken care of. If you were given that $1 billion, what would you do? Where would you invest the money? What would you build? What would you create? And this is the magic question because the reason I love it is it just opens up the possibilities of what that could be for you. And I see, I'll send you my PayPal. Absolutely. I'm glad. I'll be sure to inject that into everybody's account. But let me know what comes to mind. And again, I know we're going through this quickly and you'll likely have great ideas that'll show up over the weekend or even next week as you ponder this question. But if I could inject that into your PayPal right now, your family was whole, everybody was taken care of, what would you invest that $1 billion in? What would you build? What community would you serve? I have a list actually posted on my bulletin board. We did this at a live event one time, and it was all about helping, certain groups of youth to help create a message, even to create retreat centers for aging families that maybe didn't have the ability to take care of them. I'm going to peek at the chat here. American Freedom Fighters, a charity founded Changing Big Food and Big Pharma. Absolutely. Help homeless young people with addiction to move to sobriety and into a home. Land preservation. Oh, this is amazing. Every single one of these. And I'm not sure what AFSP is, but I'm sure it's a good one. It looks like a great acronym, Clean Water for Everyone. And I want you to notice how you're likely starting to feel activated. Are you? This is what I want you to, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Thank you for clarifying that. Innovation, entrepreneurship. This is what I believe, like this is how coaches change the world. We're clear on this bigger calling. We're clear on this bigger impact that we're here to make. That's what's going to call you forward on the moments you don't want to do the marketing thing, on the moments you don't want to have the conversation with a client that maybe you need to fire because they're not showing up. But this is that energy that you get where you're, of course, motivated because you're going to support the AFSP, with $100,000 each and every year based on that just being profit that comes from the successful business you've built. One of my clients was really passionate about helping the Breast Cancer Foundation, and she created it so all the income that flows into her business in the month of October, she donates to that organization. And that was something that was so energizing for her to be able to say, all right, who wants to, who wants to buy? Let's get your coaching in October when you sign up, because 100% of that she donated, because that was something that really made her feel like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this business and it's bigger than me. I'm leaving that lasting impact. And so already I know that your brain is spinning because I saw so many great ideas in the chat. But trust yourself on what comes up for you with this, because I believe our business is the vehicle really that allows us to become our best, selves, and also to activate and create the impact that only we can create, which is cool because if you look at all the things people shared in the chat, they were all wildly different. They're all wildly awesome, but we're all called to do little bits of different things or big bits of different things. So together, that's how that collective healing, if you want to say that, of the world, and that collective change can happen, because I'm called to help homeless animals. Someone else is called to work on land preservation. Awesome. And so this is where I do want you to sit and play with this and trust that as you're getting into action, this is going to even become more and more clear for you. And so the first pillar that we just talked about was getting clear on your impact. The second piece, which I know is no stranger to you as a coach, it's something we spend a lot of time working with our clients on, but it really is having that structure and support around building that mindset that allows us to create success. I always talk with my clients about, are you, and myself too, that I think about, am I deciding from where I am? Am I thinking and having thoughts based on where I am, or am I choosing to think and show up and pretend I'm already where I want to be? Because my future self is way more decisive. She moves more quickly. She knows, Krista, quit complaining about the thing, just do it. So when we act and decide from that future place, we create the results that future version of us has already created. And when we have the structures around our mindset, whatever that looks like for you, we're more confident. My future self always, because she's always 5 years ahead of me, I think about 2026 Krista many times a day. And I'm like, she is more confident. She's even more consistent. She takes action. She expects results, and she's getting traction and creating growth. And so I want you to think about just on the daily, are you mainly operating, and this isn't a wrong thing, but from your present day 2021 self, or are you activating and thinking from your 2026 self? This is huge for creating fast growth. And so thinking through that lens and just, noticing and then saying, okay, I'm going to practice standing in my power, showing up as my future self 5 minutes each and every day before I start my day. Even that little shift starts to be where you start thinking automatically like your future self versus your present self. When you don't have, this focus, relentless focus and drive around your mindset, you might have self-sabotage or self-doubt. You allow yourself to be overwhelmed. And I know that can be kind of triggering for some people because they say, no, I'm just overwhelmed. But really, we allow overwhelm to take over us. Limiting beliefs show up, fear of being seen, imposter syndrome. And that's where we say, sure, I'll coach you on Saturday, even though I don't work on the weekends. Oh, you need to work. I remember when I started, I had a client who was in Australia, and I think it was, I can't remember what crazy hour of the morning I got up to accommodate her that was clearly outside of my best brain power hours, but I was doing it from the wrong energy of feeling desperate versus trying to say, these are the hours I work. How do we make this work? And so I know this is slide 101, what not to do, but I'll read a couple of these. And what I want you to do to take away your action step from this is notice which ones show up for you. And you're like, ooh, I think that's me. And jot that down, because we all have these, a variety of these, a version of these at all different times. And when you can say, okay, I recognize in myself in that I have a fear of being exposed, or I have a fear of success, which is a real thing. I have a fear of losing my freedom. I have a fear of being fully authentic. I have a fear of my own power. I have a fear of selling and what others are going to think of me. Notice what you're probably thinking. Oh, I hope Krista doesn't call on me and ask me what mine is, because I don't want to say this. That one is a 1 or 2 or 3 I want you to write down, because when we walk towards what we're most resisting, we see that it's not really a truth, that it's a story, but it also is our fastest path to growth. When we look at what and we say, I'm going to walk towards that, I'm going to do the mindset work, and I'm going to pull back those layers to see that it actually is very safe to be seen. And so looking at these, there's a whole bunch of them, but it could be a fear of not having clients. I know one that's been real for me is, fear of growing too big, where then what the heck do? I have too many clients and I don't know how to figure it out. Or I'm working 24 hours a day and my goal was to be with my family. You know, that's where my values are. And so all of those are real and valid fears to have, but then we get to do the mindset work to unlock our fastest path to growth. So the next element is, this is one of my favorite ones. Oh, all of them are my favorites in different ways, but is looking at strategy. So I want you to rate yourself on your paper, and this is going to help you to see which of these components for you to focus on first, second, and third. If you said, okay, I have a clear strategy, I know how to bring in, for example, $30,000 in my business in the next 90 days, whatever your income goal is. Do you feel like, okay, I have a clear strategy to get there? And a 10 would be, yes, I have a clear strategy. I know as soon as we're off this webinar, I'm going to do A, B, and C. Or you may be closer to the one where you're like, well, I kind of try different things and I'm going to 40 different, presentations. And I don't mean to say that going to presentations aren't helpful, but when we go to 40 different ones and we take a little piece of strategy from each, that's when we kind of start building what I call the duct tape business model. I took a little bit from, Stu McLaren over here on I need to create a membership model. I took a little bit from over here, and it doesn't all fit together. And so just notice, rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And if you're comfortable, sharing that, post that in the chat. Are you a 10? Are you an 8? Are you maybe around a 1 or 2? And there's nothing wrong with being a 1 or 2, because again, then if you notice yourself there, we're going to say, great, we're lasering in on focusing on you getting a strategic plan, because that will allow you to create the fastest growth. That's not saying if you're an 8 or a 9 that we can't still work on strategy, but if you're noticing you don't have one at all, this is a huge opportunity for us to create growth for you. And so I see 2, 6, 4, 2. Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. And I see a couple more coming in too, so I'll read those. A 5, okay, and a 2. Oh, awesome. So this is going to be a group where we are diving into strategy and creating fast momentum, because this is a area for you to focus on to create that fast growth. And I want you to think about how great you'd feel if you had like this path. And I'm not saying it has to be the perfect path, but you had a path. On Monday, I'm doing these 5 things. Tuesday, these 6 things. Because when you have strategy, and I'm not saying it has to be the membership model or this model or that, but you actually take more action because you have confidence that I've got a way that I'm going to do the thing. Like we're hosting a 3-day live event that I'll share with you later that is all about, helping coaches create their thriving business and create 6-figure leaps in their business. And we have 6 different strategies that we're working right now to get the right coaches into the right seats at the virtual live event. And so knowing that allows me to show up each day, and the team, we're all pulling our different levers very intentionally. You get results quickly. And I want you to think about how your shoulder might go, from being like, this is me when I'm stressed or anxious, to being more relaxed when you have that strategy or that clear plan. And strategy, I'm not saying I'm the only person that could help you with it. There's a million people, but even you could sit down and say, okay, what would be my fill plan for the live event? What would be my plan that I want to get 10 clients or 3 clients? And it's like, what actions do we need to take to get there? And just giving yourself an hour to do that could create immediate results. And then you start to have confidence. Hey, I've got a process that I'm following. And an example that I wanted to share is, and let me know if you've ever had this question too, as far as strategy goes. Is it one-on-one that I focus first? Do I do a scalable group coaching program? What order do I do them? And, one of my clients that started, I guess she's been in the program for 2 years now, but she came to me and she said, Chris, I've been trying to fill these group coaching programs and I'm tired because it's not working. And I'm not making the money and I'm not getting the right people. And so we looked at her strategy and we actually created a scalable group coaching program that she could start even before, sometimes people will say you have to wait until you're at 6 figures to create that. But one of the strategies I like to teach is how you create a scalable group coaching program that gets you to the 6-figure mark and beyond. You serve more people, you have more fun, and you create more income. But I want you to think about, where are you starting right now? And I'd love to see that in the chat too. Are you more focused on groups? Are you more focused on one-on-one? I was going to say on ones, one-on-ones, or maybe you're even doing combination right now, just so I could kind of get a feel, because I know everybody has a different process, and that helps me to kind of see where people are in their business growth. One-on-one, great. Group or membership, one-on-one, but we want to get into groups. Yes, I'm a huge fan of one-on-one and groups. And I like they both have multiple benefits and multiple ways to serve and to create an impact too. But that, it's really looking at it strategically to say, what do you want to create? What time do you have? And looking at your audience, your community, and seeing how we can quickly build that so that you create not only the life you want to live, but the impact with your clients. Some of people say, I only want to do work in this way because the other way drives me crazy. One of my very first clients said she only wanted to work with people for 6 weeks because people annoyed her. So I thought it was very funny that she said that, one, because we're in the people business as coaches, but so we created 6-week programs and nothing longer because people apparently annoyed her after that point. But my point with that is we design it so it fits you and feels good with what makes you feel fulfilled and gives you joy. And let's see here. And so I put this on here. It's one of my favorite sayings. Spaghetti may be great for dinner, but it's not great for strategy. So I know I started out with spaghetti as a strategy. I thought I'll do this group program. I thought I was a career coach. And I was like, no, I'll do this this info program over here. And I'm going to be sitting on the beach, drinking Mai Tais, and money is going to be injected in my PayPal every moment. I tried a lot of things, and without strategy, they didn't work. And so knowing that, again, spaghetti is great for dinner if you like pasta, and it's not a valid way to grow your business. So if you recognize yourself here, we are going to, this is a key area to focus on, and asking yourself, what strategy do I need? How do I get the strategy? How can I think strategically and reverse engineer from my goals to the actions I'm doing today? And this is how you feel when you don't have a strategy. So these would be the signs that you're saying you're a 2 or 3, like some people shared. You don't have a plan, you're unsure of what to prioritize, and you might be in that stop-start, inconsistent action. I know I would say, oh, I did the thing, and oh, I don't even know if it's really going to work. So I kind of showed up with halfway energy, and then no surprise, I would get halfway results because I only kind of sort of expected the things to actually work. So the next component that we are talking about here on the, I'm calling it the circle of awesomeness, is thinking about systems in your business. And you can have systems if you're just starting out. You can have systems. In fact, I want you to have systems always because it allows you to consistently and reliably create results without recreating the wheel each and every time. In fact, one of the things that we're going to be talking about at the live event is how to create your own signature system, like where you have a model that not that you have to make people work through a certain thing, but it helps them to get results, and you can use it in the back of your mind as far as what systems would look like. And so some examples of ways you can create leverage are you could have a client intake system. So you're not making it up each and every time you have a new client come in. You could have a referral system. You could have a marketing system, a webinar system. All of these are saving your brain power because you're not recreating the wheel each and every time. I did the webinar this way. I got these results. And now we can see, okay, let's repeat it or let's tweak it if maybe the results weren't quite what you wanted. And the client intake system to me is a game changer because then you're not thinking, okay, great. Client A said yes. Now what do I do next? And that fear and overwhelm and also the imposter syndrome sneaks in is like, who do you think you are to say you're a CEO of a business? You're just kind of making this up as you go. And instead to say, no, I've got a way I do this, even if it's 1, 2, 3, just things you have written down. So each client gets a systemized approach and feeling as they're going through your client intake. This is an example here I just shared. I'm going to pop into the chat. Let's see. Is group a diverse group or a business team? And then I see, yes. Okay, great. Thank you, Paul. You answered exactly what I would say is it could definitely be both ends of the spectrum. And I'm happy to stay on too and talk through kind of how we help clients uncover the systems that are potential there with their clients. What I did when I first started was I created the fast track to client system that you see here on the left. And I'll explain that, but then it morphed into some of the trainings we give clients now in the Six Figure Impact Academy. And the reason I shared both is I want you to see how the three things, the who, which is your ideal client, the where, which I teach the marketing plan and marketing strategy, and the offer is it a group program? Is it one-on-one? Is it a corporate, consulting / coaching engagement? But having that clear, each of the things, and this is just a snippet of some of the strategy trainings we give, fall under those original components of the three-pronged system. I hope this is making sense, because I could geek out about systems all day, every day, but it's essential. I realized to help my clients get fast results, we needed to look at the who, their ideal client, make sure they were super clear there. Then we could go on to the next step, which was the marketing plan, which could have multiple layers. And then we created the offer, which could at first start out one way, then we could switch based on the results and where they were. So it was a system that was a rinse and repeat and go deeper. But the system itself was just 3 steps. And then if you think about it like bullet points, there was probably 14, different bullets under each of them. So again, I'm not expecting you to have this, but I just wanted to give that as an example for you to kind of think through what that could potentially look like for you and in your business. And when you don't have systems, I know this isn't a surprise to anybody, you're burned out, you're exhausted, and you actually start seeing a negative impact on your relationships and on your health because you're doing all the things all the time. And it's recreating and using that brain energy to create over and over and over, even if it's client intake on Monday, client intake on Tuesday, client intake on Wednesday, you're recreating and using that energy for creation versus being able to save it for another part of your business. And
Krista?
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but we did have a question in chat.
Okay. Let me see if I can pop into the chat. Okay. Okay, so is this the one about in the beginning, how do you uncover the pattern?
Yes.
Is that the one? Okay, perfect. That is, when you're first working with someone, and I do this like in a coaching conversation to help people pull it out, because people usually say they don't have one, and then I can help them pull it out. But if you think about you're just beginning and think about so I'm giving you all kinds of money today. Someone said, I'm going to give you $1 million to help me lose the 10 pounds if you're a wellness and health coach, for example. And I want to get there as fast as possible. What would be the steps you wanted to take them through? If they showed up, you could predict exactly how they showed up perfectly for each and every call. But I also want you to think about, like, would it be, a lot of times people start with values clarification at first. It could be other things too, but think about what process, if someone said, I'm going to give you $1 million to get there as fast as possible. And you thought, okay, I'm going to map out 5 sessions. We need to do this, and then this, and then this. And then you get to use that framework and just keep it in your head, or you can try it actually when you're working with clients and see if you get a test and tweak as you go. And sometimes you'll say, oh my gosh, I nailed it the first time. Sometimes you'll say, wow, that worked great for client A, but for client B, that was not at all what they needed. And so also keeping track of and looking back at the clients you've worked with that you would say were ideal clients and that got the results they were seeking. If you go through and look at your coaching call notes and see what patterns emerge, and you'll be amazed at what shows up. It might be a simple 3-step thing. One of my clients has 4 pillars of leadership that she works with people on. I think they're all C's. I can't remember what they are right off the top of my head. One of them's communication there. So I got one of them. I can't remember her other 3, but they're the 4 key areas that she works on with her leaders. And they love that they're buying a system, a proven pathway versus just, and I don't mean to say just coaching, but they're getting away and they're having a way that someone's helping to make sure they're on the right highway to get the results that they want as quickly as possible. And of course, we move and shift with what our clients need on a daily basis. And so sometimes we go back to step 1, even though we were at step 3. And so I love that too, also to look for patterns of what clients are asking about. Absolutely. So it's really this tracking that you're doing now to create that momentum. I'm trying to make my screen so it's a little bit more centered, but and I want to make sure too, I'm looking at the time, so I want to make sure I get through everything. But the other piece is really looking at the tribe, the community you're in, and to have a mentor, have a coach. I believe one of the ways as coaches we self-sabotage, and I was in this group for a very long time, is we tell ourselves we have to do it all. We have to figure it out because I mean, I feel like, and I'm not being boastful or ego-y about this, but I feel like I'm a smart person. So I thought, I've run another business before. I'm great at sales, you know, all these things. I should be able to figure it out. And I believe that's one of the ways we self-sabotage and we actually create incremental growth is we don't have the guidance of someone who's already been there that might have a system that would help us get results even more quickly. And so as you're thinking about this, let's see, and I'll go to the chat here real quick too. I want you to think about, you know, that how a community not only lifts you up and it's a safe space to celebrate and be seen, it also helps you be prepared for those roadblocks that you may not even know are going to show up. And so making sure that you have that person who's saying, hey, here's a road, you know, an obstacle of what am I trying to think? One of those road bumps, a speed bump that's coming up. So this typically happens once people have 5 clients. So I want you to know about this so we can plan for it and move through it quicker. And to rate yourself on this, I want you to think about the 5 people that you spend the most time with and jot their names down real quick. 4-legged people, animals don't necessarily count as people. I love them, but they don't count. And just think, are these people that are either at your level or above, calling you forward, helping you to say, yes, of course, this is going to be a thriving coaching business? Or are they, like I realized at one point, I love my husband, but he's in corporate. He didn't get the running your own business thing. He didn't get the mindset work, how sometimes I would make it personal. You know, he was in a different space. So when I had that community that said, Krista, guess what? I was just there last week. Or Krista, you got your first 5-figure month. I'm going to celebrate that with you. You know, to have that safe space to do it. You know, when you look at your list of 5 people, are they people that are all your champions calling you forth or further along the journey? Or are they people that are nice people, but they're more people that I guess I would say lovingly are choosing the normal path, if that's what we want to say, of having a job or not necessarily running or creating their own business. And if you look at your list of 5, because, and I don't remember who says it, but that we're the average of those 5 people, we want it to be just like we don't want to be the most expensive house in our neighborhood. Because that means everybody else's, you know, brings our house value down. You want to be in a neighborhood where there's houses that are even bigger than yours that bring the value up. So surrounding yourself with people who can say, guess what? Let me help you go faster. Oh, I just was there. Let me help you get clear on that. And when you don't have this, you'll recognize that you do feel stuck in the day-to-day. You feel like this lady here without accountability. You may hang out with people that I call them as lovingly as possible that are on the struggle bus. Hey, it's hard for me to find clients. Oh, it's hard for you to find clients. Cool, let's be on the struggle bus together. That's not what's really said, but it's like we just sit in that energy of it being a challenge. And instead, I want you, Jim Rohn. Okay, thank you. Yes. And he was an Idahoan, which I didn't know that Idahoan was an actual word. Now I that's even more awesome to be on this call today. So rating yourself, you know, if you're the average of those 5 people, do you need to get 5 new people? Not that those people go away, but for the sake of growing your business and surrounding yourself with your business community, are you called to have a tribe that's going to support you in that way? And so again, I know I told you that we would speak quickly. And so I hope you've had a chance to think through like which 1 or 2 of these. I know several people had low numbers on their strategy. So if you noticed, okay, I noticed I don't feel like I'm good on the strategy, or I'm really unclear on my impact. Maybe you're saying, I know systems are my thing to focus on because I'm always tired and I'm tired of being tired. Note that on the page. And those are the areas that I invite you to really focus on and ask yourself, what systems can I create? What am I doing more than once? How can I implement systems to create more energy for me to do the work that I love? What does it look like for me to get strategic support or to give myself time to even think strategically? Sometimes we don't even honor that time for ourselves. And so the great news that I have for you today is that it doesn't have to be hard. And you can absolutely create amazing results, you know, like I was sharing earlier about Shayna Tracy on here, who once I helped her to see her value, she raised her rate by 3 times. And then she had a client, it was so funny, she sent me a text and said, oh, I just had a conversation with an ideal client, she paid me in full. And I was like, great, let's raise your rates again. She was like, wait, now I'm not sure about that. But it's, once we're clear on those things, we call in energetically the right clients that have the same conviction for those results or those transformations as well. And so make sure that you've got, you know, the impact, the mindset, the system, strategy, and then tribe on your page. And I'd like you to choose the 1 or 2 areas that you feel like will be most impactful for you to focus on first and second, because we don't want to do it all right away, but which ones would feel like would give you the biggest opportunity. If someone said, I can give you the community you need right now, would that allow you to say, okay, I can accomplish the thing, I can hit the number goal? You know, are you saying, I'm really lacking in the strategy department, that's my area of focus? Just go ahead and name what those 2 areas are. We can always build on all of these. And by the way, this is a system too, similar to what we were speaking about earlier, a results getting system, if you want to call that, or signature system that I found. Okay, these are 5 things. And you notice the circular motion because we're always upgrading, we're always up leveling. And so you might have showed up today for many reasons. It might be that you're tired of trying to figure out every marketing hack that flies across your inbox. It could be that you want to do more of what you love and less of what kills your energy. I have a sense that it's because you know in your heart that you are meant for success. You are meant to create this impact. You are meant to change these people's lives. And you're ready to make that impact. And we're tired of all the nonsense and kind of noise that's out there. And I want to invite you to consider that it can feel very step by step. It can be very, you know, this is the path. And to get there doesn't have to be slow. And I promise it doesn't have to feel like this lady here on the screen. I know I felt like this when many days first building my business. And that could have literally been a picture of me. And so what I'm inviting you to do today, and I created a special offer for people that are awesome Idahoans or ICF High County members. And to know, though, that we always have 2 choices. We can continue doing things how we've always done it, which is the hard way. That's great for patient people. I'm myself not a patient person, as you can probably clearly tell. Or it could be the easy way, which is take new action, fun, challenging. You're getting new results. You're having breakthroughs and getting the strategy that you need. And so the invitation that I have for you today is we're hosting 6-Figure Impact Live. It's a 3-day live event where we are going to teach everything you need to know about the skill sets, the strategies, the systems, you know, how to build out your marketing, all the pieces we talked about in great depth in community with other coaches over 3 days virtually. So you can travel to Atlanta. I would love it if you did, but you can also sit in your beautiful home office to be able to join us. And this is a picture. Obviously, we won't be in person this year because we're doing it virtually, but this, everybody was saying if they were going to make a 6-figure or 7-figure impact. So that's kind of what they're doing in the picture. And so the special offer that I created was a ticket for you, a VIP ticket, a bring a coach friend VIP ticket. And I'm also going to throw in some magnetic marketing messages mini course for $99. So my goal was to make it a no-brainer offer. It's a special code through the 18th. This is just an easy way for if you're saying, Chris, I want more. I want the exact systems. I want the exact strategies, the exact mindsets. This is where you'll get it. And you get to bring a coach friend with you too. The important thing is that not only do you get this, all this, but I want you to really pay attention that you get to use the code ICF, all caps at checkout to save $50. And you can go to 6-Figure Impact Live. It's not complicated. I might be making it sound complicated, but you'll see on there that it lists all the things you get, but nowhere does anybody else get the $50 off. And I want you to look at the regular ticket. You don't need to buy the VIP ticket because you'll be upgraded to the VIP. So for $149, you input your code and it's $99. And this is where we're going to go deep on all the things, 3 days, I like to say, of awesomeness. And of course, with any questions, I'm happy to answer as well. And so I know we are like right on the dot. I can't believe we're just right where we need to be. But this is good through, I think May 18th is when the code is good through. So just to give you time to think about it today, check your schedule, find a coach friend that wants to go. They'll be your new coach BFF because you invited them to join alongside you, and we'll make that happen. The very last thing I wanted to share is for those of you that are saying, Krista, I want to go faster. I want to go to the event, or I want to have a conversation. We might be good partners for working together. You can fill out a no cost or an application for a no cost conversation at makeyourmark.com/strategy session. And that will open up. Then you'll get an email from my team about how we would schedule that. And so I appreciate your time today. And I was trying to think. And so what I'm happy to do is, I know we kind of went through that super laser fast. And I don't know what the timing is for wrapping up today, but I'm happy to stay as long as there's questions about anything coaching business related.
Yeah.
So if
we do have time for questions, Krista, and there were a few questions on chat here.
oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. So do you want me to read them to you?
Okay. Or actually, I see a couple of them. So thank you for
good.
pointing that out. I think for some reason it wasn't blinking at me. It's funny how we get trained to watch for the blinking lights. I know on Facebook, I'm like, oh, click the red button. It says I have a message, even if it's spam. But so I'll go through. Okay. So seeing here, okay, systems and strategy, impact and mindset. I was just kind of, okay. And then what about funding was a question. Were you able to bootstrap the investment required? And Paul, would you mind to share a little bit more about that, just so I can make sure I'm speaking to, I think I know where you're coming from, but I want to make sure I'm really answering your question.
Well, yeah, so great information, but doing all the things and creating all the systems, I assume isn't cost-free, websites, everything else. So it seems like it takes somewhat of a puddle of money, so to speak, to be able to invest. And I just wondered if you had any comments about that, or starting from, a shoestring here.
Yes. And I totally understand that. And with like for the systems, one of the things that blew my mind when I first started was that there are systems that we can even create that are free. It doesn't always have to be technology, meaning that it could be, I'm saying this, maybe you have on Thursday, you write a blog, Friday, you post the blog, Saturday, you send out an email, so even that system saves your brain energy. So there are ways to look at that. What I would say too is where I see coaches get stuck is they're buying systems for being like, a 7-figure business when they're maybe in startup. And so I'd be happy to have a conversation offline too, if you wanted to even talk about systems, that we could brainstorm on based on where you might be in your business that could help you create space. One thing I did when I was building my business, I worked a full-time job. Not saying you have to do that, but to me, otherwise I was going up to people saying, Paul, you need to buy today. Otherwise I can't pay my mortgage. And that was not client attractive. I learned very quickly. And so if I'm not suggesting you need to do that, but looking for ways that sometimes there's money that's available. In fact, actually, I'll put this in the chat. It's one of my things that I'll use with clients. Sometimes when they're saying, I want to buy the new technology, or I want to hire the new team, or whatever it is, they want to bring in a new, whatever, something that's a big financial investment. One, we either can say, okay, we can do it in 3 months or 6 months. My favorite way, being impatient, is to do this brain dump list, because usually people find thousands of dollars on, oh, this person asked me to do consulting. I'm not really doing consulting now, but I could do the 1-day thing and make $5,000. So it's like the universe, I believe, gives us these opportunities. We just haven't necessarily looked for them yet. So I know I worked with non-ideal clients. I worked with photographers. They were always great energy people, but they weren't my ideal client because I wanted to create, I had a $10,000 nut that I hung, as you can imagine, very competitively over my goal tracker each week or each month. Each week would have been great too to start out. That might have made me kill myself though. But then I said, okay, how does the $10,000 come to exist? And that $10,000 was based on me knowing the expenses and different things too. But does that kind of answer what you're thinking, Paul, or give you?
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. And you know, some people really believe in, and I don't ever try to decide for people what's the best financial way. I've had clients in the past say, they went out and got a loan because they wanted to do A, B, and C. You know, so I am smart, I would say, but I wouldn't say I'm a financial expert. So I let people make their own, you know, financial decisions based on what serves them best. And then let me check here. Okay. And then let's see. Okay, and so the link isn't working. Okay. What if you type in, I apologize for that. Type it in separate. I don't know if maybe something was formatted wrong on the document, but you go to, just type into the URL, sixfigureimpactlive.com, and it should pull it up. Okay, that works. Okay, thank you, John, for, we've had technology gremlins that have been infesting all our things this last week, so it does not surprise me that it goes to something wonky, but sometimes I think that's just to keep us humble, that we're not in control. The technology gremlins are actually the ones in control. Okay, so let me see what other one. Let's see. Okay. And then I would love to hear more about how to discover the patterns of what works. Okay. And let's see. Yes. And so let's see, I'm trying to think. So for me, like the patterns, and let me see, I'm sorry, I didn't look at who asked that question, because I'd be happy to kind of look. Let's see. I think that was Chris. And so Chris, are you, let's see, is that Chris Acton maybe? Or am I, no.
Chris
yeah,
Kochela?
Chris Kokela.
Okay. So I was putting you on the spot, Chris Acton, to say, where's the question? You're like, I don't have the question. But Chris Coachella, could you share with me a little bit about kind of who you work with, and we could kind of talk through that?
Sure. And I'm working on defining the ideal client more and more. But as we head out and we think about blog posts, or we think about where our clients live, and continually steer toward that, how do we collect that information? We can write blog posts and get very little reply, and so where's the evidence collecting mechanism that you found when we don't want to be spaghetti, but yet it looks a lot, all the options look like spaghetti, right?
Yeah.
And so you can say, well, don't be spaghetti, but then you go do a specific thing and you're like, okay,
I just did spaghetti.
where's the outcome? I stuck to the lesson. And how do you capture or continually steer toward that?
Yes. Great question. And would you say, like, with your ideal clients, and we can kind of play with this here for a minute. I process stuff by writing stuff down. So that's why I'm grabbing paper here. But who would you say, or is there someone that you can think of that's an ideal client that you work with, or that?
Yeah, I think the ideal client would be one that is in an existing business, has a good operational business, and is looking to grow, to find a new growth opportunity, right? It could be expanding market size, it could be a new product offering, it could be changing pricing, it could be a variety of things, but they want to get from, a certain amount, let's say it's a $5 million business to, and it's been 5 million for 5 years, right? And, they have all these ideas, but they're big decisions, right? They require resources, time, the team needs to be on board, and helping them, actually kind of the same question I'm asking here, but helping them collect the evidence that informs and grounds and validates their leap of faith decision.
Okay. So have you worked with someone in this group that you can think of, like one person that you could say, oh, it was this person named Sarah, or?
Yeah, I'm working with one named John.
Okay, perfect. I thought you were going to say named Sarah, and I was like, okay,
No.
even better. I mean, not that John is an awesome name,
Yeah.
but if John came to you and kind of said that question that I shared earlier, okay, I've got this enormous amount of money, whatever it is. So you were motivated to say, okay, how do I help him get the results as fast as possible? What would you look at with him first? And again, we're imagining he's perfect and shows up just like you would anticipate for each call, which, unless your clients are different than mine, my clients always show up with different things than what I might anticipate. But what would you do with him first that feels most important? Because he wants to get fast traction.
Yeah, well, I think I would ask him what are his initial thoughts, his initial ideas for growth, so that I can understand where he's coming from.
Okay. So kind of, so you'd want to, would that be like a vision that you want to connect with, or you're wanting to just say kind of state of the union? What are you thinking? Where are you?
Well, I would think it would be their vision, of where they want to go. How do they see it, right?
Okay.
How does it show up for them? What do they know?
Okay.
What's the current state?
Okay. So then they say, I don't know, I want to be a $10 million business because they're a $5 million business.
Uh-huh.
And then what would, and and they talk about maybe growing team or infrastructure. And then what would you do on the next call? He told you his vision, you got real clear, you mapped all that out.
Well, I think, this is kind of hard right off the cuff here, but, so it's where he's at, and then the evidence or for the different opportunities, or, if there's multiple opportunities, what does he know now? What is so at this time?
Okay.
And, putting some numbers around that in terms of confidence
Okay.
and scaling of the opportunity. I mean, one opportunity could be incremental, it could be, well, I think this is about $1 million and I know it really well, or this is the 5 million and I don't know it really well, or maybe I do know it really well, right? I mean, what is all that we know or he knows?
Okay. And then imagine that, because what I've got so far is like the step 1 could be current state.
Mhm.
Step 2 could be vision, like what do they want to create? Step 3 could be assessing, like you said, what is so?
Mhm.
And I wrote down this too. This just sounded kind of sexy. You could help them create a decision-making matrix based on what, like their confidence, what was most important, kind of that.
Mhm.
And then what would you do next? Now we've got this decision-making matrix. We see this option A is the best, based on that assessment. What would you feel like was the next thing to do with them?
Well, there's a decision and some level of commitment, right? If there's enough evidence and confidence to commit down a certain one of those spokes, can't pursue them all at once, right? And not even really pursuing them yet. But what one would he commit to, or they commit to further validate?
Okay. So it's really that like line in the sand, I'm doing the thing, I'm not doing the thing. And then maybe even prioritizing, I'm doing the thing first, then this second, then this third.
Right.
They make those choices, and then what would do next? Like the next call. So you've got this great, he's made the decision, I'm doing the thing, and it comes to the next call.
So there's a period of a number of calls, I think, where it's continually answering questions of what is not known.
Okay.
And that's very iterative. And so, what would be the next step when the iterations are done, right? No more information appears to be collecting, or the marginal value of, the next question is really low. And there's some sort of jump, right? There's some new commitment that could be, okay, I'm gonna give half my salesperson time to try to sell in this direction, right? That's a commitment of resources.
Okay.
And then, and then it's a cycling back. What was found out? What do we now not know? And then, and bringing that back into greater clarity, greater certainty. So it's
Okay.
a series of those commitments over time.
I'm just, so what, I love this, and I think you've got your system right here to at least start with, which is magical. But what I was just typing it in. Let's see. Okay, so I just put this in the chat. This is very rough based on me not knowing your business very much other than what we just did. But it could be where you have a system that's something around like current state, get clear on the vision, we assess, create the decision matrix, whatever that looks like based on what's important to them, their level of confidence, what aligns most with their vision. They make the decision. then it's a series of action, iteration, implementation, like you were saying.
Mhm.
And then you evaluate the results and shift. And it's like, and this again is a very quick one that we came up with, but how does this feel high level if you, because it could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like a 6-step framework. Would that, what does that feel like?
No, it's super helpful, and you know, I've been doing a little bit of this, so this conversation is in parallel, and you know, I think that system could be tightened and named, and you know, given some clever messaging around. So that, I mean, that's great.
I think this, and what I found is I kind of, at first it was a little bit of spaghetti, and then I said, this is what I think it is.
Mhm.
And I think I had an 8-step system at first, and then I was like, nope, it's actually this. And then I was like, nope, I just worked with John, and it's actually for, based on what he did and he needed, it's actually this. So it is, even to your point of in your system, it is iterative, but I was always like iterating with each client. It was getting a little
Right.
bit more refined.
Tighter. Yeah.
And so there's likely, like you said, I'll say a sexier way to market this and to verbalize it, but for you to even share with your client, hey, I have a 6-step process, you know, that we use in the background of our coaching work that will help us to not only create momentum, have clear decision making, but also then have the support as you're implementing and troubleshooting. Then we have a framework for evaluating to know, okay, what's next? What did we learn? How do we
Okay.
grow?
No, that seems great. And so, you know, being in terms of like, so we get a refined version of that system. And so we then know kind of, you know, who our ideal client might be. I guess that, you know, how do we go find more of them, or test out whatever marketing efforts we're doing so that we feel confident that sort of machinery is going to continue to produce, I guess, and
Yes.
not jump ship to another strand of spaghetti.
Yes. I like, and we're
Right?
all,
In this coaching world, right? And
yes.
you know, so I'm kind of asking the same questions I would ask my client. You know, I'm asking myself, or I'm asking this venue. But you know, of course, I'm in my own head, right? Trying to do that, trying to do it, and not do spaghetti, but also wanting to get there.
Yes. Well, and this is, if I may say too, this is what we will spend time developing even more deeply at 6-Figure Impact Live, where we'll go deeper into it. Really what I'm hearing too is like this, you want to work with more clients because they're, I don't want to call them guinea pigs, but essentially you're going to be able to say this 6-step system worked, or it totally flopped, or it's actually a 4-step system, or that kind of thing. So it's really becomes like a really nailing your ideal client so clearly that we can create the strategy to get more of those clients in your world. And then you get real live feedback and you say, wow, Krista, we thought it was 6 steps. After working with these 2 clients, I realized it's this instead.
Yeah.
And knowing that's okay. And it is naturally that way. But after we get you working with 5 or 7 ideal clients, you'll feel very confident in, I mean, it may still shift because we're always captivating, but that could absolutely, that'll give you the confidence to say, I've got my proof, I've got my data. These 6 people found this approach to help them get where they want to be.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, your clients will love buying, knowing that you have a process that's working behind the scenes, even with your coaching. Because yes, coaching is awesome. I love coaching, obviously, but people don't wake up at 3 a.m. saying, I got to buy coaching. I need coaching.
Right.
I wish they did. Gosh, I wish they did. They wake up and say,
they want an outcome.
Yeah, I'm tired of being stuck at $5 million for 5 years. Like I'm ready, you know, like you were saying, or whatever that is. And so we look at how we can create that, and then we coach within that framework, and it creates transformation, and then referrals and raving fans, and your business grows very quickly.
I have a question, Krista.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I can tell a lot of the things you've studied, and I can see your MBA bringing into a lot of this, and it's really great. So very good. I love everything that you've shared. My question is kind of resetting back a little bit and understanding a little bit about what you've done. When the word coaching has obviously been used a lot throughout this session, but to me, I get a little bit of a stickler on terms, and it sounds like it's the coaching that you're talking about and that you just talked about with Chris is, well, to me, I would say that's more mentoring, that you're sharing your experience about business and you're helping and guiding them and directing. I mean, there's questioning involved, of course, but there's a lot of advice being given, which
Yes.
is, which really, to me, is great and wonderful and needed, but not in the pure ICF or other coaching sense where we don't give advice. So my
Yeah.
question to you is, in that sense where we don't give advice, they set the topic. It could be about anything. And in fact, I find most coaches, most coaching clients will start off talking about business, but then the majority of their coach sessions goes to other parts of their life, their relationships and everything. So my question to you is, in the framework of that definition of coaching, I'm curious to know how, when you talk about systems and patterns and things like that, see, there is no 6-step process. There isn't something like that because they define the topics each time and we're not giving advice. I'm kind of trying to understand where what you're saying fits within that definition of
Yes.
coaching.
And thank you for sharing that. And I will share too that I always say, like, what we do within my company is coach salting. And you're welcome to borrow that term if it resonates with anybody. So it's the coaching and consulting, it's like we're flipping the hat back and forth. But what I've found too is even when we are an executive coach or a wellness coach, and we have that, you know, it's a woman that's this age, it's a man that's that age, ideal client, there's still a framework that we can have that supports their growth. It doesn't have to be like we were just talking about, okay, so we made the decision-making matrix, but it's knowing, okay, maybe we start with values at the beginning of our work together. And then we look at what, you know, and so it can be more, I feel like the system we just came up with was more specific, but it can be more vague in the sense of we start out with values and we look at your life goals. You know, we do the wheel of life. I'm making things up here, but it could be whatever it is. And knowing that, yes, you have those tools and focus points, but you don't have to go through step 1, call 1, step 2, call 2. It might be step 6 and call 1 because that's what they brought. But then, so it's kind of more of a, I don't know if I'm answering your question, more of a loose thinking in that way, but it's knowing, like one of the client I spoke about that said like the 4 pillars of leadership, and that I couldn't remember what they all were, but they all started with C, and one of them was communication. But like that was an area that she could speak about, but she could also support her clients when they came in and said, okay, she found those to be trends. So then she could coach them through, you know, the communication piece. So I don't know if that's answering your question, but I think it really comes down to getting clear on the ideal client and then your general framework that could be, you know, very general in the sense of defining where you want to be.
Yeah, I am trying to define what that framework is within the context of your presentation, because I do have an intake process on 1 or 2 sessions where I may use a wheel of life. I also use handwriting analysis and DISC and other things to assess their personality and things to kind of get an understanding of who they are. But they also tell me what their 4 big aspirations or goal overarching in their life is that they're concerned about, that they want to address, kind of the big picture. And then all of their topics of their sessions, which again, they choose in any order they want, all goes into support those big 4 or 5 overarching goals. And I make sure that they're always staying clear and focused on those and don't get sidetracked. That's what so it kind of helps me keep them focused. But other than that, there's no framework, because again, they could talk about anything out of the blue. In fact, they never tell me the topic ahead of time. When I come to a session, they tell me the topic right at the beginning of the session. This is my topic. This is my goal. This is the outcome I want for this session. Okay, now we go.
Okay. Well, and that's, you know, what I'm hearing too is maybe for you, a system might be just more general in that you kind of talked about the client intake, the 4 big areas, you know, like it could be more general in that sense. And then you use those 4 big areas or 4 big goals kind of as like guiding posts, you know, and even that is still a framework in a looser sense, but still that sounds like it aligns more with what you're doing because it allows you to say, wait a second, what about this thing over here? Is that still important?
Yeah. Do you use other programs? That's the other thing I'm thinking about is I don't just do coaching. I also do training, workshops and things like that on specific topics of communication, leadership, and something like that. So trying to figure out, would this 6-figure impact live event help someone like me as I've defined that? And then maybe doing workshops and trying to figure out how to, what strategy, what system putting in that would kind of feed off it, because the coaching is can be a big ticket item, or a group training for a company over a period of time can be a big ticket item. And to see how you blend those two, what feeds the other or anything. Would this 6-pack live event help defining that strategy and systems?
Yes, that's because that's a lot of what we'll be talking about is how, like, which levers lead to the income. You know, if it's the whatever your big goal is, if it's the training that leads to the coaching, maybe your framework exists within the training work that you do too, that could then lead to the coaching, you know, so it, without diving into it real deep
Yeah.
today, I mean, that's exactly what we're going to give is you'll walk away with your roadmap to create, you look at the income number, we pull back the layers on how to create those, whether it's the system in your training, in your coaching, or even in consulting, you know, and sometimes people say, I've got a 5-step system I talk about in my speaking. And then that just, I mean, infuses the work they do with clients, even if indirectly.
Okay, I think that could be helpful because I think you know, and there are probably other coaches like me, you have these different services you offer, but without a consolidated overall marketing plan of how those complement each other, you don't know how to present that as a cohesive unit, that they feed into each other, or they all just seem like you're marketing to this and then I'm marketing to that. And so I'm interested to see how this Impact Live could actually help me pull that all together and have one cohesive kind of a system.
Yes.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we're at the end. Krista, is there anything that you'd like to do to wrap up?
I would just say, just super fast, you know, to Blaine's question too, is one of the things we will offer too is a one-on-one call before the live event. So you could talk through some of this to leverage. So that just felt important to acknowledge for where Blaine's specific question is, to help get that strategy. But I want to thank everybody. These have been fantastic questions. And I would love to even have an open Q&A sometime if that would serve the audience and really talk through the strategies to get more coaches blowing past the 6-figure income threshold.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming today. It's been great information. I just want to invite everybody to our next meeting in June, which will be Jeffrey Hall, and his title is Coaching for Agility, the Secret Sauce for Success in a Disrupted World. So we invite you back for that. And please fill out a feedback survey, drop that into the chat in order to get your continuing coaching education unit and also to help us with further programs. So thank you again and have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Krista.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.